Hut, hut, hike! Hello again, my fellow Bears fans. Your boy Roy here after another victory by the Bears. This is getting addictive. I could get used to it all day long. Victory Tuesday edition of Chicago Football Talk. And there's lots to talk about. You know, the Bears fans are pretty much, the story right now is that they're worried about the way the offense looked. I mean, you forget, again, it's going to be a roller coaster ride. There's going to be those times where the Bears have things clicking versus certain opponents where they're going to score 40 points like they have on occasion a couple times during the game, collectively as a team, I should say. And then there's going to be times when they struggle like they did versus a good defensive team in the Lions. Now, granted, their secondary is questionable, but they still have a very dominant front four, a talented front four that you have to contend against. Strategy can be questioned as the Bears didn't run the ball as often as a lot of fans would like them to have ran. But I'll remind people the Bears still ended up with, as I'm looking from the official press box stats here, 171 yards in total in rushing. They had 296 net yards, 171 of which were rushing. And not to be overlooked is the fact that Cutler got hurt in the second quarter of this game, when Ndamukong Suh actually had a very vicious, aggressive tackle of Jay Cutler. And as I tweeted out the picture, Jay Cutler basically landed on Ndamukong Suh's right leg when Ndamukong Suh twisted Cutler and threw him down, which Jay Cutler later confirmed on WBBM first before going to the podium and declaring it to the masses of the media that were there at Soldier Field there. But yes, overall, I'm pleased with the victory. I think the Bears defense played phenomenally. I would have to give my MVP of the game, or my MVB as we would, to Charles Tillman. I mean, anytime you shut down Megatron, I'm looking at his stats right here. Pardon me for one moment while I pull up his individual statistics. 11 targets, 3 catches, 34 yards total. He did average 11.3 yards per catch. His longest was 16, but 34 yards. Now, contrast that. This is something that I brought up when the Bears originally traded for Brandon Marshall, when I compared him to Calvin Johnson, saying that the Brandon Marshall is equally as good as a Calvin Johnson, or at least in that tier, you know, a handful, basically top 5 wide receiver in the game. 10 targets by Brandon Marshall, 6 catches, 81 yards. That's with an ailing Cutler who was hurt for most of this game. If you know, 2 quarters and a half, 81 yards, 13 and a half average, 20 yards was his longest catch, and he got a touchdown. So, again, when the Bears offense is hurting a little bit, you're talking about Evan Rodriguez, who clearly was the emergency tight end or F tight end, as he didn't even log a snap that I can recall. I'll have to go back into the tape because the tape will tell. The devil's in the details, but I don't remember Evan Rodriguez ever getting a snap. So, and then also Alshon Jeffrey was hurt too. And you can see the importance of an Alshon Jeffrey. Again, give kudos to Emory there. And you could see why he traded up to get that guy, how important he is to this offense. There were a couple plays where Jay Cutler threw a little bit high, and you can tell he's missing Alshon Jeffrey, where receivers like Devin Hester drop the ball, where receivers like Earl Bennett don't have the body to box out a DB and aren't coming back to the ball in the end zone, drop that pass as well. Earl Bennett had 6 targets, so did Devin Hester. They both only ended up with 3 catches, so they only came down with the ball 50% of the time they were targeted. Devin Hester led the way with 38 yards over Bennett, if you will, and Bennett had 27 yards. So Devin Hester actually had the biggest gain by a receiver with 23 yards, which leads me to the explosive gain statistics. Again, the Bears want to average 8. As far as I can tell from my early count, the Bears actually ended up with 7 explosive gains, 3 of them being runs and 4 of them being passes. So 7 explosive gains probably puts them just shy of 8 explosive gains as an average, which is still pretty good. That's where Mike Tice wants to be. That's his magic number. Again, for a first-year offense, a lot of people are tweeting right now, talking right now, calling radio talk shows right now about their worries, or, you know, they were at the game, and I'm a little concerned about this Bears offense. They're in the red zone, and they can't convert it to a touchdown. If you won't take it from me, If you won't take it from players who have played the game, take it from Brandon Marshall, our true number one wide receiver as Bears fans that we get to cheer for. We saw what a true number one will do. He said it again after the game in the post-game presser at Soldier Field. This is a first-year offense. What do you expect, basically, to paraphrase? What do you expect? It's a first-year offense. They're still getting into the rhythm. So you got to just go along with the roller coaster ride. There's going to be times where you're wondering, oh, is this worth the price of admission on this roller coaster that I'm on? This is easy, or this is not frightful or not exciting at all. And then there's going to be times where they click on all cylinders. Let's just wait until the journey is done before we start criticizing the journey. And every game is a step along that path. Enjoy the journey, okay? These times when you can eke out a victory and the Bears can lean on their defense as they get their offensive chemistry going, as Brandon Marshall alluded to specifically, their chemistry is not all the way there yet on offense. That's when you got to take it. The one thing, Jay Cutler, again, hurt with the bruised ribs there. I didn't think it was serious, honestly. If you look at the reactions on the sidelines, he's cheering. The report by Zach Zaidman on WBBM was that he threw a ball immediately when the training staff wanted to pull him. And you knew that was going to be a battle that Jay Cutler was not going to lose. He lost that battle during the NFC Championship when he fought with the training staff to get in the game. They let him play, and then eventually they won that battle. Jay Cutler was not going to lose that battle this time, not on national TV. So at least for those people that are worried about what the national outlook is, maybe because they watch ESPN a little bit too much, Jay Cutler proved his doubters wrong. As I saw, even Dan Bernstein from 670 The Score was already writing his column about how Jay Cutler put that whole toughness story to bed. And again, interesting that MJD didn't finish the game and Cutler finished his game on national TV. So at least that was another positive. Again, Devin Hester was their most explosive receiver as in terms of explosive gains that Mike Tice is tracking. He got 23 yards. And then Brandon Marshall came in after that with a 20-yard reception, an 18-yard reception, a 16-yard reception. So even though Devin Hester gained the biggest chunk of yards, Brandon Marshall repeatedly showed why he was worth trading for when everybody doubted him. Again, the devil's in the details on that too. A lot of people were wondering, oh man, we threw 2 third-round picks and this guy's nothing but trouble. The devil's in the details. If you would have just done your homework and looked into it, he had been living most of his life with a personality disorder that he didn't even understand. Once he got it, once he realized what was going on, then he worked to turn over a new leaf, and we're seeing the results of that right now. I'm not saying he'll never get in trouble, but you don't worry about it yet until it happens. Okay, we're reaping the rewards of it right now, and so far it seems like he's good as advertised, as they say. Some other final numbers here. Jay Cutler was 31 attempts. He only completed 16 passes, 150 yards. He was sacked 5 times, and he had a quarterback rating of 76 with the longest completion of 23 yards and 1 touchdown. Matt Forte ended up averaging 4.4 yards a carry, 96 yards, so we neared the century mark. Michael Bush had 36 yards on 6 attempts, so he averaged 6 yards per carry. And then Jay Cutler ended up being their highest average per carry attempt on his scrambles, as he had 34 yards on 3 attempts, giving him an 11.3 average. Jason Campbell, J Cam as Cutler likes to call him, actually averaged 5 yards on his 1 attempt with 5 yards. Again, my MVP goes to Peanut Tillman. Anytime you can shut down, and Brian Urlacher may have crystallized it the best, in a way that only Brian Urlacher can do. If Calvin Johnson is the best receiver, then I'm going to say that Peanut Tillman is the best cornerback. He definitely shut him down. He might have stamped his ticket to the Pro Bowl again, a second Pro Bowl in the twilight of his career, if you could say that, but towards the second half of his career with that game there. 2 forced fumbles, got hurt, showed toughness, shades of the play versus Randy Moss when Calvin Johnson caught a pass and a touchdown pass, and Tillman just knocked it out, said, no, not yet, not on me. I think if you even ask Calvin Johnson who the toughest guy he had to go up against, he would probably say it was Tillman. And as a lot of Bears fans saw with Sue's vicious tackle of Cutler, he had bad intentions on that play. At least Sue showed sportsmanship by wanting to make sure Cutler was okay, even though the Bears training staff shooed him away. Cutler said the tackle was clean as far as he could tell, the sack. But you can see why I always worry every single time the Bears play the Lions. That's the one concern I have. please let Cutler come out healthy, because I know how Sue plays. Anytime you go up against an opponent like that and you have a guy like Cutler who's just going to extend plays and never give up on them, you always have to hold your breath and hope he makes it out of the game. Some other numbers, the Lions were 4 of 13 on third downs for 13%. Their fourth down efficiency, of course, was 0 for 1. They ended up having 340 total yards, but as Lovie Smith says, it's not about the yards, it's about the points. And the Bears basically virtually shut out the Detroit Lions. They got a cheap touchdown at the end, but I'm going to give them a credit for a virtual shutdown, if you will. The penalties were a little concerning. Shiloh Rashal, the regulator, got some penalties for some extracurricular activity. He did enjoy the fevered pitch of the game, as he had mentioned on WBBM. He could tell it was very competitive and he liked it. But 9 penalties for 49 yards. It was the Bears who had the most penalties in this game. The Lions had 5 for 47. The Bears actually were the most penalized team in this game. Time of possession, 34 minutes, 35 seconds in favor of the Bears, and then 25 minutes, 25 seconds to the Lions there. So the Bears were able to lean on the run game after Cutler got hurt, which is what they needed. And hopefully Cutler's health is going to be something that the Bears don't have to worry about on a short week before they face the Carolina Panthers. So those are my quick thoughts. Trying to trim them down in 10 minutes there for you, my fellow Bears fans. You can expect many more breakdowns to come. Enjoy Victory Tuesday. I have a beer already poured. It's time to get my late night munch on. Bear down, my fellow Bears fans. For Chicago Football Talk, as always, your boy Roy here. Bear down.